All right, and it looks like we are indeed live now. Welcome everybody to the live stream. Today we're going to be hanging out and just picking out some PC parts here. Sorry, had a double audio situation going on, needed to take care of there. But today, yeah, we're just going to hang out. I'm going to do a couple of PC part picker lists that I can put over into my Discord server. Thought I would go ahead and share those with you guys, and then also just talk about any kind of tech stuff that you guys want to talk about. So if you got any questions, throw them down in the chat. If you do, well, Nightbot shows up, you can do exclamation point Discord, and you will see my Discord channel. If you want to jump into the Discord server, feel free to do that. But that's too much for me to juggle, so I'm just going to be answering questions here in the chat. So it looks like G-Tech and that guy are in. Perfect, guys. Appreciate that. Audio sounds perfect. Great. That's that RTX voice coming in. I do have dogs and children running around, though, because this is a house that people live in. So if you hear some noises, sorry about that, but you know, deal with it, I guess. So I do have a poll going on as well. Kind of one of the things I've been seeing a lot in the tech world is everyone saying that you can't get graphics cards, but everywhere I look, there are AMD cards all over the place. And of course, there's we can talk about price and MSRP and all that good stuff, guys. But it's just one of those things that I was kind of wondering what would AMD have to do to get people to pick them up. I hear a lot of people just saying they only want NVIDIA cards. They don't even care. They don't even look at AMD cards. Some people say that the price is too high, things like that. So just kind of give me your thoughts up in the chat or answer the poll, and we'll kind of talk about that as the night goes on. But um, so two PC part picker lists that I wanted to do today, and one of those we're going to start out with is actually the 5600G. So the 5600G is actually available. It's in a lot of places right now. I've been wanting to do a build with it, but funds are what they are, so I haven't gotten one yet. I do have a couple feelers out to try to actually get a 5600G so I could review it on the channel, but as of right now, I don't have one yet. But I think it's a good alternative to buying lesser cards and or doing other things. So we're going to do a build with that so you can kind of see what it would cost you to put a system like that together, and we'll kind of figure out what we want to do there as far as making recommendations or not. So if you know of parts or anything while we're doing this, feel free to throw them out. But we're going to go through, and lucky for you guys, actually in the PinkyTech Discord server today, I'll go ahead and bring that over to my screen here. One of the things I do is I follow other people's PC component deals, and so when they post things, it gets shared with my community as well. And one of the things that I saw was this case right here, and I don't know if you saw on the channel, I actually did a Montech Air Lite, which is the non-RGB version of this case, and it's a fantastic case to build in. It's really good quality as long as you don't pay attention to the punch-out PCIe slots. But other than that, it's a really good case. I really liked it a lot. Also, Montech didn't send me the ARGB one like I asked them to at the end of that one, so it is what it is. But that's probably going to be the case unless somebody else has a better recommendation there. So, but let's go ahead and get the show on the road and PC part picker here. And yeah, the net guy has it right there, which is basically AMD's getting treated like Pepsi and RTX Nvidia is Coke. So I don't know if he meant the drink or whatever, but we'll just assume it's the drink he was talking about. So, all right, for the processor, let's start off with the 5600G. So let's go ahead and get that added to the system here. And I'm gonna skip the cooler right now. I'm pretty sure that actually comes with one. Oh, G-Tech, I just lost respect for you, man. You prefer Pepsi to Coke? That's okay. Cherry Coke to cherry Pepsi. All right, I'll forgive you a little bit there. As far as motherboards, knowing that I want to use that other case, let's look for a B550 chipset because I think that would be something like I would go B550 with the 5600X. So I think going with the 5600G that actually makes a lot of sense there. So let's filter down to a micro ATX board and uh, memory type DDR4. That's going to be all it is for B550. And I'm wondering if they have. I'm pretty sure this will actually let you sort it down to boards that have an actual number of memory slots. And I'm not seeing the option here, so maybe I missed it. But oh, here we go. Memory slots. One. We're just going to say four. All right, so that should get us down to a good chunk there. And we got micro ATX. So Um, this one's a bit budget. I've used it before. It's fine. For $109, this B550M board looks actually pretty good here. Let me take a look here. Uh, Coke does not make an IPA. And as far as the root beer, I actually like ginger beer a lot, and that's kind of the kick I've been on lately. But this board isn't bad. Kind of some of the things I look for is like fan headers and stuff like that. It does have USB-C, which is getting to be more standard, but it's also weird to see a USB-C and then like one fan header, which boards are doing nowadays. So, um, yeah, this board would work. What I'm not seeing though is RGB or ARGB headers on this, and that might be actually down here. But let's take a look and see if we can get. That's not bad. It does have Wi-Fi built in too. For $109, it's really not bad. Any other boards that people prefer as far as brands or types of things that you look for? Actually, do I have that board? All right, one moment. I know this isn't professional. Yeah, so I just figured out why I might be partial to said board. I've got it here. So, and of course the RTX background's gonna mess with that, but yeah, I knew I'd seen that board somewhere. How ironic is that? Yeah, I hate Mystic Lights. Maybe we look for another one just because of that. Yeah, let's pass on that one for a moment. Let's go back here and before did it take my filters off? It did. B550 and memory slots 4. There we go. All right. Uh, back in here. So I know the DS3H, those are budget boards, and for the price that some of these boards are actually going for right now, I why buy that one at $99 when we've got other options here? So let's take a look. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is very nice. The MSI Mag, the only I can't I can't pay $200 for a micro ATX board. That would drive me insane. Though I'll be honest with you, you can probably find this cheaper elsewhere. But the tough boards are actually pretty good. Let me take a look here. Let's see, they've only got the one picture here, but it's got good cooling. I like the nice beefy heat sinks on it. It doesn't have an M.2 heatsink, but that's I think we could get away without that. It's got RGB and ARGB are going to be the headers down here. It's got some glow to it. It's got the built-in Wi-Fi. I'm wondering if that's Wi-Fi 6 on it, but um, you know what? Let's go ahead and go with this one. We could always switch it out later if we wanted to. It does support up to DDR4400, which is actually pretty nice here. So it's got the M.2 slots, which we saw. No heat sinks, but that's fine. USB 3.2. So yeah, and Wi-Fi 6 there. So I think that's uh, yeah. I don't see a reason why not to at this point. So all right, we'll go with this one. So we're gonna add that one to the list here. We'll go back and add, and at $159, it's actually a good price there. Uh, Compatibility issues already. Oh, okay, it's just the motherboard. So yes, we may have to update the motherboard to actually get that to work. So yeah, the Aura Sync is, in my opinion, superior to the Mystic Lights, and the reason why I think that they're both kind of garbage softwares, especially now that Mystic Light is part of MSI Center. But actually, the thing that gets me the most about it is with Mystic Light, you cannot actually do any individual ARGB addressing. So even if you have ARGB components, it's basically all one color or all one pattern or whatever. Whereas with Aura Sync, at least in the past, it's been a little while since I used it, you're actually able to go in and set individual lights. So if you wanted to do a pattern within your fans or within, whatever components like RAM, stuff like that, you can actually do it. And you couldn't do that with Mystic Light, which was, made me angry. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of one of those things that if you have an ARGB header, why wouldn't your software actually do all the things that ARGB can do? So, all right. So I think 16 gigs of RAM still probably the standard there, and that's at least going to be true for a bit longer. So let's go with that. Let's look for if it's a 5600, we should be at least 3200. So that should be the sweet spot there. So let's go ahead and put this at like, well, we'll call it 3600 to 3200. And let's see what we can do as far as getting some memory here. So taking a look, we've got the Corsair Vengeance. I guess the question is do we want to do some ARG or some RGB RAM, or what do we think, guys? Sort by price. Um, so this probably isn't showing all the deals actually. Let's do this. Let's jump into the Discord, and according to ZTT, there's actually this RAM kit right here, 3200 megahertz CL16, which should be absolutely just fine uh, for 5600G build. So why don't we copy that and let's see if we can actually get that filtered out in here. So looks like it's this right here, and it's showing a 79.98, and it's actually on sale right now according to that for 60 bucks. So let's add that, and I'm gonna go in here, and I think if we go to settings here, we can manually enter the price as 60 bucks. There we go. That's how we do it, guys. So yeah, moving down through the list here, storage. So storage is always funny to me because I'm trying to figure out should you use SATA or NVMe, and to be honest, NVMe in a gaming PC isn't going to net you a whole lot other than some aesthetics. But yeah, it's nice to have there. Let's see here. Take a look at the chat, guys. Make sure I don't ignore you. Um, Yeah, good Wi-Fi works out. I'm actually plugged directly into my router on my PC because I'm in the office. This is where I spend all my days now. Uh, but yeah, it is nice. So yeah, G-Tech 3600 with CL16. It's really good. It's it kind of becomes a get the fastest kit you can afford, but try not to go below this baseline of like 3200 megahertz or something like that. So. And yeah, that's the other good thing about the Ryzen stuff is with their boards, everything's unlocked. So a lot of the times you get a 3200 kit, you can get it to actually run at 3600 or 3400 or something like that and be very stable. So, um, and GTEC, I don't know that we're necessarily going for a particular budget, but I guess it's if someone were putting this together, it's not necessarily a budget, but they may be doing it just to kind of avoid buying a graphics card until you can actually get it. So. But yeah, let's look for a terabyte, and I'm kind of with you guys. Let's go for an NVMe drive. So let's go to 900 to 1000 should do it. All right, and form factor would be M.2 2280. That should do it for us. And we got the 1 terabyte in there. And again, I'm a sort by price kind of guy and then find something that I like to use. This team group actually is a good drive as well. I've used a lot of those. The A data is good. I've actually got this drive in my PC now, which is a very nice one from Silicon Power there. Um, so tell you what, I mean, either of these drives would actually be pretty good, and they're both the same price. Thoughts, guys? Thoughts? Which one would you use? This Kingston A2000 actually is a really good drive as well. I actually did a review of that one for Roadcast. Very good drive. So actually, you know what? Let's go with that one because I can tell you from experience, I've used all these drives. This one's actually the faster one of the bunch. So, all right, Kingston, we're going to add you in there. All right. Video card, we're going to skip. And let's go to, you know what? Let's do power supply next. So if we actually go back, let's take a look. So far, we're at 149 watts. So I would say we need a pretty small power supply, but knowing that the potential buyer for a 5600G is just getting the system to start and get by now, uh, I think that's probably a good thing that we don't want to skimp on the actual power supply itself here. So let's take a look. We're going to go to power supply, and I think we probably want to do something around 750 watts. So let me see if we can get this filtered down a bit here. Did I miss it? No. Length wattage. Here we go. So let's look somewhere around 750 to 850. I think we can get by with. All right. So we're at 750 here, and we'll go with an ATX. And I think probably a 2 by 8 pin. I mean, if you go with a 3080, you would need three, wouldn't you? Yeah, we can do the 240 watt Dell OEM unit. I think that's probably. Let's try to filter out by two or three EPS 8 pins, because depending on the one you get, like if you got a 3080, it would actually work, but I think having this would uh, help out a bit. So, all right, so we're gonna do the sort by price, which is my favorite thing to do. How do we feel about Aries Games, guy? So I'm not gonna lie, I've used a lot of their power supplies. I know it's not on the cult list. I mean the LTT tier list. Cult list is probably more accurate, but the one thing I don't like about the Aries Games ones is that the GT710 is the only answer. You're not wrong. Uh, I've used a lot of them. The only thing I don't like about their power supplies is if you're going to get a high end card, let's say a 3070 or I'm sorry, a 3080, 3090, you want to have those dedicated power rails for your EPS connections or for your I apologize for the PCIe connections, and quite frankly, most of their stuff doesn't actually have it. So, um, and actually, we can take this off because that was EPS. I was like thinking it was PCIe. Um, so we'd have to sort by this. Let's try that. And wow, look how small that list got. If we try to get three PCIe dedicated power lanes there, pretty amazing. So, G-Tech, I don't know who manufactures them. All I can say is I've bought probably half a dozen of them, various size. Some of their non-modular, some of the fully modular ones. Get a gigabyte one, sure. Let's burn everyone's house down. PinkyTech suits coming through. But it's kind of funny because I was actually looking at that, and um, it's just one of those things that I like their power supplies, but they don't have a whole lot of connectivity. They use a lot of daisy chaining, and that kind of is a bit of a turnoff if you're going for a more power hungry card there. So just one of those things to keep in mind. But and low end build, if you're doing like a 1660 or a 580 or 570 or something like that, and like a 3600 or something like that, they actually work great. I've done stress testing with them and everything else, and they actually work very well. So. But that being said, knowing that someone could drop a 3080 in with the system later, let's probably not go with that one. So, EVGA, I like their power units. It's 750 watts. Yeah, that's another thing. We want to go at least 80 bronze. There we go. That should filter out a lot of the garbage here and start taking a look and see what we have on here. Seasonic Focus and the Focus Gold are actually really good power supplies, and at semi-modular and $70 looks pretty good to me. Let's take a look at this one. And yeah, we've got some dedicated peripherals here, which is nice. Looks like it's just the EPS here. Yep. So this actually looks like a pretty good unit here. It comes with power cable, power tie. I'm going to assume that if I buy a power supply, it comes with power cable. I really don't need you taking up marketing real estate for that. So, all right, so we're gonna go with that Seasonic Focus Gold. Let's add that to the list here. All right, and let's go ahead and get a case here. And I'm actually going to take a look and see if they have the deal that I saw for that Montec Air 100 ARGB. And of course, they don't have it here. So that's the 900. They don't have the 100s put in there yet. Where's the hot pink keyboard? Yeah, I don't have one. Sorry. So they don't have the Montec Air on here. So used to be a way you can actually add parts in, but I may have been making that up. So take a look here. Let's look at this 900. So it doesn't have the open airflow and everything that the Montec Air has. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and we're gonna look for an ATX mid tower, or actually micro ATX mid tower, not the ATX mid tower. We want to do a black one or a white one, guys? What do you think? Let's see here, micro ATX motherboard form factor. Care about the rest of it there. So we're gonna pick one out from here. Let's take a look through the list, see if I recognize any of these. Versa H15. I mean, can't RGB that. Why would you do that? So, Intelligear Neo, Lee. This is actually a really good case, even though it has a closed off front panel. It's actually a really good case to use. It gets a good amount of airflow in from those side pieces there, the side vent and the side ventilation. So that's actually a good case. 80 bucks for it, not the greatest price, I guess, but the Dark Flash DLM21, that's a good case as well. Though for 50 bucks, it doesn't actually come with any fans, which kind of aggravates me. So take a look here. Oh, we're just actually putting this together. It's not necessarily but I'm not necessarily purchasing it. It's just kind of something that I can give people that they can look at for building a gaming PC that they can actually use right now, even though they can't necessarily get a graphics card. So they can still game and while they wait on a graphics card to become available to them. So, but yeah, this is probably not going to replace my 10850K that's sitting here with the 5600G. Yikes. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm not seeing a ton here that I'm in love with, but so 4000D airflow. That's a nice case. It's way too big for a micro ATX board, but it's a nice case. Let me sort this back down to micro ATX. All right, let's go with this 311L. I think it's probably the best option right now. It gives us some ARGB fans. I've actually done a build in one of these two. It's actually not a bad case there. Um, I would actually, you know what? Let's just put in Montec and see what comes up here. We're just gonna put this in, and I'm just gonna put the price at what was the price on that deal? Yeah, $63 for a case with 4 ARGB fans. That's really, I don't know that you can actually beat that right there. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll go into the settings here, and we'll actually say 63 bucks. All right. So we've got all that, and we've got a kind of a placeholder for the case. Cooler, let's go ahead and add a CPU cooler here. I'm thinking just an air cooler. It's only a 5600G. I think it's a 65 watt TDP or something like that. It's not going to be much. So let's see here. CPU socket is going to be AM4 and not water cooled. Let's see here. You know what? I wonder if they've got the V-True. It's actually a. They don't have that one. Aries game. They don't have that one. I'm gonna be honest, guys. This is actually making me angry. But let's take a look. They've got to have like a Hyper 212 or something like that. So once again, we'll do a sort by pricing here, and let's take a look and see what they got. I'm guessing everyone wants some ARGB on there. Does that seem reasonable to everyone? Arctic Free. That's actually a nice cooler. Um, Something I think black with ARGB to make it look good. What in the world is that? Why? Why are we doing this to CPU coolers? Like, uh, what are we? What's the goal here? Like, oof. Sometimes I just don't understand what people are thinking. This is actually a nice cooler as well. It's just no ARGB, and it should not be anywhere near $78 there. All right. So why it put this on here, I don't know. Let's get rid of that one. Da, 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 da. All right, we're gonna do this, and we're just gonna pick a cheap one to put on here as a placeholder. Hey, look, they've got the up here ones. Isn't that nice? Uptick, cryo. All right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. I'm just trying to get something that actually doesn't look like a piece of junk here, and yeah, that's not the look I'm going for. All right, let's just add this one on here. It's 20 bucks, and I think any aftermarket cooler at this point is actually just going to add a lot of value the to the build. With the 5600, it doesn't take much to cool it, but a lot of the aftermarket stuff just works better and just runs quieter. But the actual stock cooler that comes with those is actually pretty good. It'll definitely keep it cool, even though it might not be quiet there. So, all right, so we've got all this stuff put up here. No video card because once again it's 5600G. That was kind of the point of the build. And hey, look, we have add a custom part. Hmm. Let's do this. Get over here. Give me. You know what? Let's do a. Here we go. Hey, look at that. So now we've got the cooler on here. And you know what? Let's go ahead and do the same thing with that case. All right. So here's the Air 100. All right, so we're going to get rid of this guy, and we are going to get rid of this guy. All right, so we've got the CPU, we've got a cooler, we've got a motherboard, we've got 16 gigs of RAM dual channel, we've got a nice 1 terabyte NVMe drive. I'm not going to add a secondary drive at this point because we've already got a terabyte in there. We have got, so there's our storage. Video card we are skipping on because we are doing a APU build here. Just a second, guys. All right, and then we've got a 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply. We've got the case on there, and I think that's a good build. So with mail-in rebates, discounts, everything else, your total build is $741. Not a bad price. And then of course, obviously you've got to throw in some extras there. But for a case with all ARGB, a custom uh, well, not a custom cooler, but an aftermarket cooler, and 16 gigs of RAM that's also RGB. Nice board with Wi-Fi in it. I think it's actually a really good price for what would be probably a low-end gaming system with the APU graphics, unless you're just doing esports. But it would actually be just a very good overall start to a gaming PC. Then you drop in there a 3070, 3080, 6800, 6700, something like that. Really good gaming system. So, all right, we're gonna save this list. We're gonna put it in. Call it 5600G. Oh, what is it? Say 23rd. All right, all right. There it is, guys. So we'll take that. We'll put it in the Discord. Hopefully, Nightbot showed up at some point. Maybe not. So one of the things we were trying to do is do all the socials and get all the commands and all that good stuff. But since Nightbot wants to act a fool, we can also do this. If you're interested in seeing this list, here's the link to my Discord, so you can jump in there, and we'll put it in there after the live stream here. So excellent, Ghost Turtle, welcome. Appreciate you showing up, buddy. All right, so that is that list. I think what I want to do is let's do another list, and I guess let's target this one to if you were going to get into streaming. What kind of PC would you be looking for there for a stream? So I guess some assumptions we have to do is we'll just do a one PC setup. So we will be streaming off of that same card and off of that same system. So recommendations and thoughts, guys, on a processor. I'm thinking something probably 8 core or better. And do we want to go Ryzen or do we want to go Intel? We could actually part out my current system if we think that would be fun. Any takers? All right, let's do it. All right, so we'll go with the Intel 10850K. And we'll go ahead and we're going to add this, but I'm going to edit that price because I know for a fact, like, if we go to Newegg, like, this has to be cheaper, right? Intel 10850K, 392. Am I just spoiled with Micro Center pricing that I thought it should be 320 bucks? All right, we'll leave it. It's fine. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just go to motherboard. We'll do the coolers later. I've actually got the MSI MPG Z490 Gaming Plus, so we can go with that. We can go 16 gigabytes, team group, Delta RGB, and of course it won't have that. So you know what? Let's start doing this. Let's go back and give me just a second and let me actually pull up. All right. So then let me pull up over here. I'm going to get the actual RAM that I use. It's the T-Force Delta RGB. There we go. All right, so we've got the RAM in there. I might as well go ahead and get the cooler I have as well. I actually have the V-True 360 millimeter AIO in white. Uh, and give me just a second to get that pulled up for you here. So that's actually currently $100 plus it has a $10 discount. So, and of course it's got all the RGB. So, all right, so we've got motherboard, we've got memory, we've got storage. So for storage, let's do that same Kingston 1 terabyte NVMe drive. It's actually a really good drive. I like it a lot. The A2000 1 terabyte NVMe. Boom. There we go. All right. And for video card, let's see if they've actually got the 3060 SC. Or nope, it is XC. Ooh, $759. That is an actual travesty. I can't believe it's that much. I actually spent I got mine for 329 on the EVGA-Q. Had to wait a couple months, but that's a lot better than what most people are doing right now. So, Micro Center for the 10850K, yeah, I can do that. So the 10850K currently at Micro Center, it's actually back up to 379, and that's a bit of a shame because I actually got my 10850K for 329, and to be honest with you, at almost $400, you're pushing up into you know 5900 territory almost. It's well, actually technically it's still cheaper than the 5800, but it's getting up there to the point where you actually have a decision to make, and you didn't really have that same decision. At $329, a 10 core 8 thread processor that'll run at 5 gigahertz, it lights out. I mean, it's hands down was the best value on the market at that point. So, which is why I got it, because AMD lost their minds when they released their pricing, in my opinion. So, but yeah, that's a tough pill. But right now, with the way graphics cards are, it is what it is, I guess. So, um, for a case, we're gonna need an ATX case this time. So let's take a look and see what they got for cases. Yeah, Ghost Turtle, the 9900Ks, the 10850Ks, like they got really cheap when AMD released their stuff, and I've seen them start creeping back up, and everything else is kind of, the AMD prices are actually coming down. Like a 5800 now is under, I think it's like $390 or something like that. So the AMDs are starting to come back down a bit, and the Intel stuff is starting to go back up. It's just weird, and I found kind of the inverse relationship with the boards too. So, like, yeah, so right now 5800X is $349, but the price on the boards are going up. And then Intel, like the 10850K, was pretty cheap, and then the board at the time when I got it was over $250. So, I don't know, they kind of have a way of balancing themselves out, unfortunately. So, but yeah, 5800X at $349 is a really good deal too. All right, so we're looking for an ATX motherboard. And we'll sort by price again because I hate just spending extra money on a case. It is worth it at times, but uh, you know what we could do? Oops, left one out there. There we go. So the 5000D airflow. This is actually a really nice case. It's the one I'm using for all my parts. So I figure we just go ahead and throw that one in as well. Um, then we need a power supply. And since we're going with streaming, I would say we probably want to go a minimum of, I'm going to say 850. I think that's probably where most people are going to end up with the single machine that streams because you put a lot of demand on it at that point. So we'll go 850 to 1000 and we'll see what the pricing looks like there. And I'm going to say semi-modular. If we're spending this much on a streaming machine, we should probably go ahead and spend a little bit of money on it. So, all right. So, taking a look through here, Seasonic Focus 850. I really like EVGA power supplies. Corsair's a good brand as well. At $300, I think somebody screwed something up here. I hope somebody screwed something up here. So, yeah, Net Guy, you can buy that Xbox as long as you don't plan on, doing anything but gaming, I guess. So, yeah, so Ghost Turtle in the chat. Yeah, so I saw that they have as a matter of fact, this bite's for you, Iggy, one of the friends here for the channel. He actually did a review of the X570 Dark, and it's a nice looking board. I don't know what's taken EVGA so long to get on the bandwagon there, but it was a very good looking board. So I'm excited to see what else they come out with there. And yeah, the H510 Airflow. The only thing that's kind of shocking for me on that case is the fact that it's going to be like 120 $130 I heard. So it hasn't actually released yet, but that's what they were saying the pricing is going to be at release, and that's almost what double almost what an H510 is really kind of crazy on what they're actually talking about there for the pricing. But like I understand manufacturing and everything is costing more, and things are getting more and more expensive. Like you even see the budget boards now are a bit more, but yeah, it was kind of shocking to hear that kind of pricing coming out from them. So, but yep, taking a look. That's the motherboards. The 5900X MSRP, 5900X I think was 550. The 5800X, if I remember correct, was 449. But yeah, I'm looking forward to H510 Flow. It's probably going to be the new O11D, where just you're going to see it everywhere. Everyone's going to be using it, every flip and everything else. It's well, at least I would think it was. It's kind of one of those things where you think it's going to do very well, but then also you've got like uh, a segment of the market that's spending $130 on a case is just a bit much. So. All right, so we're gonna pick one of these. As far as something under 150, 200 bucks, the probably the only other thing I'm seeing, I've heard good things about the Seasonic Focus. I haven't actually used that one before, but it's 80 plus gold. It's 850 watts. It's semi-modular, black cables. We'll go ahead and we'll add it in there. So yeah, it does look a bit like a cheese grater there, Ghost. You're correct about that. All right, so operating system monitor, we're going to skip over that. We've got the video card 3060. Do we want to try to get a 3080 in this build, guys? I think I'm going to switch out this video card. Let's try this again. I'm going to do it, guys. I'm going to try to be ridiculous with it. So 3080 Ti for $2,000. Can we can we just take a moment and appreciate that somebody is trying to sell a 3080 Ti for over what a 3090 is at this point? Well, I guess a 3090 would probably be about $2,200. So I don't, I don't know that I can do this. I might have to. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it, guys. All right, we're gonna put in this Founders Edition card, and yeah, let's do that. Let's go with 3080. Let's do the Founders Edition. We're gonna add it in, and then let's set a price on here. So, what do we think is a fair price for the 3080 Founders Edition? And if somebody says anything close to MSRP, you're getting banned. So, yeah, Ghost, I wouldn't count on that being accurate because they've already bumped that transition date like 4 times. So, yeah, I don't know how much you could really trust that, to be honest with you. All right, so let's enter a price here, and 3080 was supposed to, you know what? Let's call it $1,400, or you know what? Let's go $1,200. I want to be generous. Yeah, $6,900. It's nice, but yeah, it's probably pretty accurate there, to be honest with you. So, oh man, it's bad. I mean, all the way around. Especially the 3080s. 3070s are bad enough. 3060s, 6600s. Like Roadcast actually put out with the 6600s that they were at 599, and nobody wants. I mean, it's just hard to get anyone to buy an AMD card at this point. So I don't know what you do with that, but yeah, it's just bad. I really don't know AMD what they're going to have to do to actually sell some cards, but at their current pricing, nobody's buying them. So, all right, so we've got storage, we've got memory. We've plugged those in here. We've got a cooler. So let me just make sure CPU cooler we've got the motherboard, compatibility warning. Let me see down here. Yeah, okay. So we've already got the CPU cooler. We already knew that 10850K doesn't do it, so $400 for which card? Let me see. Some computer shop locally wanted $500 for 2060 Super, saying it was $200 off. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, I would limit that as well. But he's probably in the right ballpark. To be honest with you, he'd probably sell it for the extra $100. I wouldn't be willing to buy it, but he'd probably sell it. What's funny though is my 3060 was 329, but they're just really hard to get. Really, really hard to get there. But all right, so I think that is everything that we need. We've got all this stuff, and let me check the pricing on here. So that looks right. That looks right. We put that in. Yep, 150 bucks for that. Yeah, so this is a really nice system. It actually outperformed my system because I've only got a 3060 instead of a 3080. But as you can see, a 1080p stream, and my system is really not taxed at all. Take a look here. 11% CPU, 43% memory. I mean, and as you can see, I've got stuff going here. So yeah, it would get the job done. So yeah, your Founders Edition 3090 was 400 bucks less. Yeah, that's the thing. If you can find one at MSRP, so if you get Newegg Shuffle or if you get an EVGA notification, something like that, really that's your best bet. But people are just tired of waiting for it. They've been wanting to do these builds, and they were told, oh, wait 4 months, and they'll wait 6 months, and now we're into what 18 months after the initial lockdown, and all that good stuff, and things going nuts in the world, and yeah, it's just it's there's no signs of getting better. As a matter of fact, Jensen for Nvidia came out and said that they're looking at the end of 2022. So it's nuts. All right, so this system would cost you about $2,300. Luckily, Did not cost me that much. I use a lot of coupons. So estimated wattage 525, so that 850 watt power supply would be just fine for it. So all right, so let's save this list, and we're gonna call this the streaming build. Give me a second. I should have planned more of this stuff out, and I didn't. Streaming build for 923 live. There we go. 980 since the 980 Ti is too overpriced. Yeah. I did a video. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did a video of the top five right now uh, to kind of get people by. And it was funny because the 970, if you go look at benchmarks or the videos that they kind of put together for games in 2021 versus the 970 and stuff like that, it actually still performs very well at 1080p. And you're at that spot where you don't have to necessarily bump it down to 720p or something like that. So it's really nice to have. And it's a card for the 970 you can get off of eBay for under 150 bucks, and it'll get you by until you can find a better card to put into your system. But I also understand that 150 bucks to get somebody by is just for some people it's not feasible. They can't just sink 150 bucks into something and then spend on a graphics card and just be out the 150 or try to sell it again or something like that. Most people, they're not going to be able to carry the price of all these different things. So, but let's see here. So I'm gonna put these into my stream parts list, and I will get those links and put them up on the Discord server. So excellent. Yeah, Ghost Turtle. It's difficult because you want to do certain things and you want those cards, but you know, uh, it's one of those what do you do type things because realistically speaking, to get your hands on a 3060, 3070, 3080, unless you actually get lucky in the shuffle or if you're able to do an actual queue system and something like that and get called, you're not going to get them anywhere close for MSRP. So double a 3070, I think they're selling for what, 800 to $1,000 right now. 6700 XT, if you wanted to go AMD side, is selling for 800 to $1,000 depending on the partner brand for it. So yeah, it's just hard. I mean, you're really just kind of stuck with what you have there. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, Searle. You can probably get away with a 6600 or a 3060 if you're doing streaming, and not use the NVENC encoder, but just actually use your processor. A 3700X will absolutely destroy 1080p streams. I mean, you could probably do it now with your 780 Ti and just use the H264 instead of using NVENC. But yeah, 3060 Ti, pretty much basically whatever they announced the MSRP, just double it and you'd be in the ballpark of what they're selling for at this point. So, all right, so we got our parts list done here. I guess the other question I wanted to pose to you guys, whoever's still left here in chat, is how much longer do you think 16 gigs of RAM will actually be viable for a gaming PC? So before it was, 8 gigs is all you need. And then, of course, everyone went to 16. And we've been rocking 16 for quite a while. And then COD came out, and pretty much everyone transitioned off of 8 and went into 16 gigs. And now, the other day, I was actually doing uh, uh, some benchmarking. And I looked, and I actually was running at with just MSI Afterburner, Discord, and Apex Legends running, I was actually running over 10, almost 11 gigs of RAM. And that really got me going because Apex doesn't take a whole lot to run. Really thought that maybe we're getting to a point where you can't actually run, a gaming PC. You won't be able to run a lot of extra stuff in the background with 16 gigs of RAM, and that's why a bunch of us actually started upgrading to 16 gigs. So I don't know. What do you guys think? How much longer are we going to get away with the 16 gigs of RAM? Kind of seems like a bit of a jump to go to 32 for nothing more than playing video games, in my opinion. Boom, up close and in your face now, guys. Yeah, Ghost Turtle, if you're getting 90 FPS in Cold War, uh, well, you're running 70% of 1080p, so you're not truly running the full 1080p. But even so, that's actually really good for that setup. So yeah, Ghost Turtle, that's interesting. Yeah, and I'm running 1080p monitor, so that's kind of what I'm rocking at this point. But yeah, that would be interesting if, like, I don't know anyone really running 4K for gaming. I know people say it, but I think that usually ends up being mostly, YouTubers testing it out. Like the practicality of gaming in 4K, especially for shooters, is not really that real. I could see some people doing maybe a race sim or a flight sim or something like that at 4K, but for most of us, I think 4K is out of reach. But with 1440p, like it should shift most of that processing over to your graphics card and just be running the games. But I'd be curious to know what else you're running beside your games that you're eating up, uh, 15 gigs of RAM. Like I get for content creation, I would always recommend if you can go to 32 gigs of RAM, do that. But it's really, for content creation's sake, that makes sense. But for a gaming PC, like I've never really thought about recommending more than 16 gigs of RAM. And after seeing that yesterday, I was like, wow, that's actually eating up a good chunk of memory on the system. So all food for thought there. It's really, like I said, it's one of those things that I think is coming to an end. I say we still probably get another year out of it, depending on what Windows 11 does. But Windows 11, I mean, half the hardware we're running doesn't work on it anyway, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's. I think after 2 or 3 years reinstalling Windows, or like I used to, part of my job used to be is just trying to destroy our computers at work and just constantly installing, uninstalling, and doing just weird stuff to see how users could break it. And I'll be honest with you, doing that, I would have to re-image a machine, monthly, because after 5 or 6 installs or uninstalls, stuff like that, it would just destroy Windows, and I'd have to go through and reinstall Windows, put my image back on it, and then just continue beating it up again. So yeah, those stress tests too, GTech. Yep, absolutely. Like, and you kind of expect it with stress testing to a degree. Like, normally, and yeah, it is kind of shocking though, because you're right, you can run Prime 95 and Furmark and try to stress out a machine, and usually it just ends up pegging out the CPU and the GPU. But yeah, it is getting to the point where I think it's lazy development. And if John's here, he's probably going to kill me because I think he does some software development. But yeah, it's just one of those things that since hardware is getting faster and faster, people aren't really optimizing code and stuff for it anymore. They're just really doing whatever. So yeah, I want to move to Linux, but my PC I really use the full performance of it at times with no overhead. Yeah, the other thing with Linux, like Linux does have some good usefulness to it. My biggest issue with Linux is that there are still to this day, like it's a lot better than it was, but even to this day, there's so much stuff that just they don't make programs that run on Linux for. And especially around games and stuff like that, it's harder to game on a Linux box. um, it's getting a lot better, but it's just one of those things that it's just not there yet. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. GTech on the GDDR5, or I'm sorry, the DDR5. And as a matter of fact, Team Group I think had an event today on their DDR5 RAM that they're releasing. I think too the other thing is that's going to be interesting about it is I haven't seen if the form factor is going to be the same or what the compatibility is going to be. So to go to DDR5, are we going to have to change motherboards, stuff like that? And then of course you've got the processors have to support it and everything else. And so it's going to be interesting to see what that does to the markets. Like, will the current APUs actually work with DDR5? And I don't know the answer to that yet. Maybe you do. Looks like you might have been looking into it a bit. Yeah, and GTech, if it is tall, that's probably going to be an issue for a lot of people with air coolers. And I know a lot of people are moving to AIOs for their processors and everything, but a lot of people just like that big chunky air cooler taking up the space and making it look nice. And if you get really high profile RAM, uh, that's going to be an issue in these cases. So yeah, kind of like back in the Intel days, when they started switching over, I forget what generation it was, but they would support DDR3 and DDR4 RAM on the motherboard, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I just, I think we're getting to that point, but I hate when we get into these generation gaps where pretty much any upgrade you do basically means an update of all of your core components at the same time because it gets really expensive. Yeah, DRAM air coolers might be making a comeback. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So I would expect DDR5 to run hot, or at least run hotter than DDR4 because it's faster. That's kind of what it is. But if you have a case with good airflow, like with mine, I'm pushing air into the front of that case, and so I've got air constantly going over my memory, so I think it would be okay. But where you might get into trouble is with some of these cases like the H510 or the Lian Li 205, where you don't have a whole lot of front ventilation, like there is some there. And then now if you add in the memory getting hotter too, then of course that could cause some issues for it. But so it looks like Nightbot never made it to the chat here, and that's fine. I see how it's going to be. Nightbot just doesn't like me. You know, that's it's all good. It is what it is. But all right, guys, we're going to cut the stream off here. A lot of good feedback. I appreciate you guys coming out to the stream and supporting me and hanging out. So I look to be doing this monthly. If you see this on the replay in one of the playlists there, make sure to go over and join the PinkyTech Discord server. I'll have a link down in the description of this video so that you can join it. You've got all my other socials there, and like I said, we'll be posting the links to the builds that we did tonight in the Discord server. So guys, once again, appreciate you coming out. Thanks for hanging out with me for a bit, and while I get some of my work done to help better the community there. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, or see you in the next stream, or something. I don't know. Awkward transition. Off. Bye, guys.